So hello everyone, welcome to this another video of Scale Up India. I'm Abhishek Verma and you are watching the Hibernate series. So if you have been following this series, then you must be knowing that till now we have covered various different kinds of primary key generation strategies, and you can tell me those strategies in the comment section. Now in today's video also we are going to cover one more strategy, but that is going to be something like composite primary key. Now here this composite primary key is not going to be generated by default from the Hibernate or JPA. Like that also can be done, but we will be doing with a different way. Now you may say that okay, why do we need this composite primary key? So it may happen sometimes that let's say that your single primary key is not able to define your row, or that may not be able to say that okay, with this particular column your row is going to be unique. Many times you may need that okay, there should be a combination of two or more columns, and then if that particular combination exists, then only you can call a particular row as unique in your database, or that particular object as unique. And this is generally required in various big projects. Now another thing is that in our project, since you know that it is not that much big and it's just a small project, but we are trying to imitate a real project. So in this project it may not feel that okay, there is a need of composite primary key, but then again we need to understand that here this is just a demo. This is not a production ready application which we will be using as it is. Here we are just learning it in order to understand a particular concept. Once we have understood the particular composite, once we have understood the concept of how to generate or how to make usage of the composite primary key, we will again switch back to our general ways. We are not going to use the composite primary key in all our upcoming demos. So if that is clear, let's directly jump towards our code and see how we can make usage of composite primary key in our Pakistan application. So as always, we are in our IDE, and let me take you to this demo 6. So this is the one, and let me just open this class. So I hope that font and everything looks fine here, the size. So instead of this, let's directly open the entity, our general one. So here it looks something like this. So as you can see that I'm not making usage of anything auto generated, because as I told you that since we will be making usage of composite primary key, so we are not going to use anything like auto generated here. So that particular part of code I have removed from this. Now what happens is that if you see this code, so currently it feels that in this owner class the owner ID is the primary key. And same way in our repository layer also, if you see, so just with the help of owner ID you can fetch a particular owner row. So that can be done. You can fetch it, then you can update, you can delete, and you can perform all these operations. But now as I mentioned you that we need to enhance this in order to imitate the composite primary key stuff. So for this what we will be doing is that along with this ID we will be making one more column as our primary key. And for this what I will be doing is that let me take this pet ID. So first of all let me remove it from here and keep it on top, something like this. Now again there is not any hard and fast rule, but this I'm just doing so that I have all my primary keys on the top. So what I want is I want to make this also as a primary key. So you will see it's simple, just copy this annotation and put it here. Now think, do we need this @ column? Let's try to understand. If I will remove this @ column completely, then in the database it will store the column name as pet ID, which I don't want. I want it to be as pet_id. So I need this name thing here. But do we need to now say this nullable false? The answer is no, we don't need to say. We have already made it an ID, so we can remove this particular part. I mean you can remove most of the things as much as possible. So now on this pet ID we have the annotation ID also, as well as @ column also. So two annotations are available here. But now the question is that is it sufficient to just go by this way? The answer is no, this is not sufficient. So what we need to do, like currently how will you write the things here? That okay, what is your primary key? You can't pass two things in this, because if you see the definition of this get method, it says a single ID, and it can be a complete object in itself. So you cannot pass two IDs here directly. So the question is how we are going to pass this particular thing here. Now for this, what we will be doing is we'll create one more class, and let's say this is going to be something like this. Now let's give it a name as owner pet primary key. It's your choice, whatever the name you wish you can give, but this is just going to be a combination of your primary keys. That's it, nothing else. Now after this, what needs to be done here is that we will be copying those two things here. Let me remove repository as of now. So I'll copy both these variables here, something like this. And from here I don't need these Hibernate annotations, so I will remove them. So now these two things I have made here. Now beside this particular class you need to make as serializable also. So let's do that. So here we will say implements serializable. So something like this I have done as serializable. Then beside this, another important thing required is that here there should be a no args constructor. Now you will say that okay, that is by default provided by Java, and the answer is correct. So till the point you are not creating your own parameterized constructor, so you will be getting a no args constructor. And as of now I'm not in a mood to create a parameterized constructor, so I'm happy with this. Then let's create here our getters and setters. So for this I'll just go here and say generate getters and setters, and I want to make usage of set also, because now I will be taking the ID and the pet ID from the user itself, not going to auto generate them. Then I need here something as my toString also. This is again your choice, no hard and fast rule. So this is the thing. Now we also need here the equals and the hash code method, so that we can say that okay, when this owner pet primary key combination is going to be unique, so that equals and hash code method also should be overridden here. So for this also, let's directly take this as it is for both ID and pet. So this way we have done. Let me see, Control Shift O, Control Shift F, and now you can see all those things have been removed, and now it looks something like this. So we have a hash code method, we have equals method, toString method, getter setters, serializable, and a default constructor. Now here it gives me a warning, and this warning is that whenever you are implementing this serializable, so we should have this particular serial version ID, either default or generated. So let's pick this default one, and let's remove these things as of now. So this is how it is going to look like. So this is the one. Now if you're not sure what is the serializable and all, then you can tell me in the comment, and we can make a separate video for that. I don't want to cover this topic in detail here, but we can have a separate one for this. Now this. So here we have made something like this, and don't worry, this is not going to be saved anywhere in your database or anything. This is not entity. This is just a combination of your primary keys which you can use there. Now after this, the next question is that okay, we have taken these IDs there, but how we can tell this owner that this owner pet primary key is now going to be your composite primary key object, so that you can pass it here. Directly if I will try to pass, this will not give me any kind of compilation error, but later on will give me a runtime error. So how should I tell owner that okay, now this owner pet primary key is going to be your thing? So for this, what I'll do is that here I'll put one more annotation, and that is your choice. You can put anywhere, like below or above this, and this annotation is going to be like @ID and class. So let's say something like this. Now let's see what this ID class needs from us. So this ID class says that okay, you just need to provide me something like a value, and that's it, nothing else. And what is this value? It is going to be your primary class key. That's it. So let's pass that value here. So if you wish, you can just say like this value, and here let me copy this name. So I'll copy this name here, and I'll paste it here and say dot class, and this will do my job. That's it. And since this value is, like, as you know, it's a default variable only, so you can remove this and it will look something like this. So in your annotations, if the name of that particular variable is value, so that can be removed and automatically it will be considered here. So this way it can be done. Now your primary key is not ID or nor pet ID, but it's a combination of your owner pet primary key. Now accordingly we need to enhance our rest of the code also. So let's try to enhance the rest of the code. And here, so here as you can see, everything is ready, so nothing like that. Now let's go here and enhance the code. So now the thing is that if that is your primary key, that means only taking integer will not work here. So you need to accept the combination as it is. So what I'll do is that I'll copy this particular thing from here and I'll paste it something like this here. What happened? Why it didn't paste it? Let me try to copy this again. So I'm just again copying it and let me paste it. Yeah, this time it worked. So that's the one. And here let me write it as primary key, something like this. And here let me try to import this. So yeah, by this way I can import this. So this is the one. And here what I can do is, now I can just pass it like this. Now I hope it's more clear that why do I need to make this object, because otherwise how can I provide 2 or 3 or 4 different columns? So I need to do something like this. And the same we need to do in all these extra places also, like for this update pet details also I need to do here. Then for this particular one also I again need to pass on all these things, and again this particular part also I need to do it like this. Everywhere I need to pass this so that it can be used my primary key, but still it is giving me the error. And this error is because in my interface also I should be doing this. So let's quickly do that also. If you wish, you can skip this part a bit, and that is fine. You can directly jump a little bit, but don't go too far. So your repository is now ready, and your repository IMPL is also ready. Now what? Now the next thing is that we need to make changes in our service IMPL also. So let's do the changes here too. So wherever we are saying find owner, we need to provide that particular thing. So here we will say this, and here also in the update part also let's say the same thing. Here also let's provide the same thing. So everywhere we have given, and this same thing we need to provide here. So again I'll say copy, I'll provide it here, and let me just provide it here. Let me provide this thing here. Let me just provide the same thing here also and here also. So again in all these places I have provided my primary key. Now the next thing is that for this also again the interface. So this interface is also the thing. So let me just quickly provide all these things here. So I have done all these things. So yeah, now this one looks ready to me. And let me just mute my mobile, otherwise it will keep on giving us notifications. So this is the way. Now let's see if anything is left for this. So here it says that okay, whenever we are first of all saving the owner, so this time we need to find the owner, because we should see. Now that time also we should be taking both of these things into the account. So only providing the owner ID is not going to work here. This time also we need to provide both of the things. So here also let's try to make usage of this particular same primary key. So that we will see later, that how to put up the primary key here, but as of now we have provided this primary key this particular time. Now what else we can do here? So let's try to see for this one, find owner. So find owner, now let's assume that by this primary key you are getting. So will this particular exception work, like owner not found? So instead of it we should give a better exception. So for that also what I have done is, instead of wasting the time, so I have already made this extra exception. So now I'm calling it owner pet combination not found exception. So this is just your choice. Like if you wish, you can change if you are happy with the previous one, so that also you can do. But I was not happy, so let me just quickly change all these things, and then I'll just resume back and I tell you that what all different things I have changed here, so that we can save our time also. So we are back, guys, and as you can see that I have formatted this class completely. So what I have done is, let's take this example. So find owner. So here now I'm passing the owner pet primary key, and instead of throwing the owner not found exception, so I'm throwing this exception, owner pet combination not found, something like this. Now for the message also, it should tell you the complete thing, that which owner pet combination is not found. So here I have made this new one. So earlier it was like owner not found, so now we have made like owner pet combination not found, and this particular one I'm making usage of. And here in the resources also I have done that. So now we are having these different messages, that this owner ID and pet ID is not found, so something like this. So that one is there. So this change we have done in all these three methods for reading, updating and deletion. Then in this saving one, so here like we were getting the issue that how to prepare this primary key, so we can get the primary key something like this. So you can create the primary key object from the owner DTO, you can get the ID and the pet ID, and then you can pass here. Same for this also, we have changed this particular message, so we are saying owner pet combination already exists. So it's always better to give a more clear message. Now this you can do. Now here, while taking the ID and the pet ID, either you can take from this particular primary key separately, or you can take from this thing, but in both the ways you need to have this getter method. So like there is no hard and fast rule for this. So by this way we can say that our service layer is also ready. So our repository layer is ready and our service layer is ready. Now let's move on with the next part. So for the next part, we'll move on here in the demo, and here we can see that still there are some errors. Now here also the error is that at the time of accepting. So first of all, there is no issue with this particular part, like when you are saving, then it is fine. But at the time of accepting, now only accepting the owner ID is not going to work. We need to accept the combination. So for this, what we have done is that if I go here, so I've already made this method ready. So instead of accepting only the owner ID or only the pet ID, we will be taking the combination itself. So directly here itself, the moment we are going to take this, we will be creating this owner pet primary key, so that again and again in the service layer or in any of the other layers, we don't need to create this particular object. And again, yeah, this is going to work fine. If you are feeling the other way around, let's say you say no, from here we should be taking the owner ID separately, pet ID separately, and in the service layer we should create this owner pet primary key object. So that also can be done. So this is completely your choice. So this method is extra, so we have removed this particular one, and here we are taking this. So let's start using this method in our demo class. So here what we will do is that we will just provide the same thing here, and this should do the job. Now here it says that okay, this needs to be taken, so let me make it as a primary key, so something like this. And here what we can do is that we can again copy this particular thing and we can paste it something here. So this should do my job, and yeah, so this way we can import it. If you wish, you can also make usage of where, that is also fine, but use any one of them. And here also let's provide this particular thing. Now for rest of the things also we need to do the same. So let me copy this part and let me paste it here. The same thing let me paste here also, and yeah, this particular part also we have done. So let's copy this, let's paste it here, and let's paste this thing also here. So all these things have been done. Now what about for the messages? So if you wish the message is fine, then also it is good. If you wish, you can change these messages. As of now for us it is fine, like owner has been fetched successfully, or if you wish we can say this owner pet combination, but that is always going to be the combination only, so changing the message here is not fine. So and this message we have already changed as owner pet combination. So this particular class is also ready. So now I guess all of our classes are ready, but is there anything left? So let's check out in our mapper util. So in the mapper util, we are trying to do something this. So yeah, this mapper util is also fine. And now if we wish, we can execute our code. So our code is ready. But there is one issue here. Now the issue is if we go back to owner. Now here if you see, the issue is that let's assume that now currently there are two columns you have taken as your primary key, the ID and the pet ID. Let's say that in future or in some other time you feel that okay, instead of two there should be a combination of three columns or four. Like I'm just exaggerating the thing now. In reality you are not going in that much big. But the problem here is that you need to repeat those columns again and again. So every time you need to ensure that the columns on which you are mentioning @ID here, like this ID and the pet ID, and the columns which you are mentioning here, they should be same. Like you can't say that okay, in future I am planning to make this mobile number as also a primary key along with this combination. So now here you are keeping three, but here you are just passing on two things. So then that is going to be an issue, and then you may feel that okay, your things are not working fine. So in this case, what can be done? So in this case, do you think that will be more better that instead of mentioning the columns two times, like once here and once here, so instead of mentioning two times, what if we can mention only once? Like already we have this combination here. So what's the benefit of mentioning the same things again here? Why can't we use the whole thing, that whole particular owner pet primary key object as it is here? I mean, won't it be better? I guess it is going to be little better. So let's try to enhance this. So for that, what we will be doing is that first of all, now since I'm saying that now we won't be providing these things here. Now if we are not providing these things here, so there is no need of this particular part also here. So I can remove and I can put it here, something like this, because I want to change the name. Then here I'm saying that we don't need to provide. So let's remove them, something like this, and here also let's remove this @ID, or as of now let's keep it. We are not sure what needs to be kept here. Now here we will say this owner pet primary key combination. So something like we'll say here, and here let's call it as primary key. So this way we are writing. So I was talking about this thing. So now we can write it to be like this. Now if that is your primary key, then you don't need this particular thing here. So let's remove this, and instead of it here also let's try to have this particular source, say generate getters and setters, select all because only one is there. Remove these extra lines, something like this, and here we don't need this also. So let's remove this particular part. And here what we can do, so here what we will do is we will play some tricks, and those tricks will be like this. So here we will say key dot get, and here we'll say ID, and same way we will be copying this particular part, we will be pasting it here, and same way we will be saying here pet ID. The rest of the things is going to remain same. So that much tweaking you can do here on your own. So this we have done. Now again the point is, will this code work? The answer is no. This code is not going to work now, because if you are using it like this, then first of all your @ID is not going to work. Now instead of @ID you need to say embedded ID. So that is the one like this. So we need to call it as embedded ID instead of ID. Now think, do we need this? Just think on your own. Earlier why did we mention it? So that somehow we can tell owner that this combination is going to be your primary key. Now we are saying it here itself, so that means no need of this annotation. So that we have removed. Yeah, and again we can say Ctrl+Shift+O so that all unnecessary imports will get removed here. So we have done the things here. Now let's go to this particular class. Now here on these columns or on these variables, as of now we have mentioned this @ column, but do we need to tell here @ID? So try to think. This class we made as a column of IDs only. So I'm pretty sure that in class, whatever the columns I will be using, all of them are going to be my primary keys. So there is no benefit of writing again and again here. But one thing which we need to write here is that here we need to say embeddable. So that is going to be your annotation embeddable, which is again coming from your JPA. So on this class, you need to say embedded ID, and here you can say that this thing can be embedded there. So that is embeddable. So this one. Now, after doing this particular change, do we need to change a repository? The answer is no. There is no change. Earlier also we were having this owner pet primary combination. Now also we are having that. So that is going to be fine for us. Yeah. So these are basically the two ways of going with your composite primary key. Either you go by the previous way where we were saying @ID class, or you go by this way where we are making usage of embedded ID. Now you can tell me in the comment section which of these ways you like more. For me, I will obviously support this second way. The reason is because now I don't need to repeat my columns, or I don't need to repeat my variables. If I wish, let's say that in future I want to make this pet name also as a primary key. So what I'll do is I'll just remove it from here. I'll remove all the getters and setters and I'll just keep it here. No other change. It's that simple. But in the previous way, you need to keep it here also, and here you need to say @ID. So that was the disadvantage. Now after doing all these changes, there are some issues in your mapper util. And why are these issues there? Because these issues says that now in your, first of all, this particular, let's say owner DTO. So we need to set the ID, and this is the owner DTO class. So there we haven't made any change. So now from owner we can't get this ID directly. So what we will do is we will first of all try to get this primary key, and then from this primary key we will be saying here get ID. So this way we will be going forward. Same for this one also. First of all, let's say primary key, and then after the primary key, let's say here or just get pet ID. So this way you can do. Now here also what can be done? So first of all we need to make that particular one. So let's say owner pet primary key. So something like this, and then I will be saying here primary key, and let me take it as new of owner pet primary key. So this way I will be writing this out. So this is going to be my primary key. First of all, I will be saving the things here. So this set ID I have done, and this particular pet ID also I have done. And then beside this, what I will be doing is, so I will be saying here owner.get, and or sorry, not get, but it needs to be a set. So here let's say set primary key, and yeah, that primary key we can take here. So something like this. If you wish, like if you seen that this particular part also we are doing in 2-3 places, in the service layer here, and one was in the input util also we were doing. So if you wish, you can make a separate method for that too. As of now, I'll leave that to you. So now again my code is ready, and yeah, there is no disadvantage. So now let's run the code. This time what we are doing is, let me just show you once here. So from the user we are just going to accept the ID and the pet ID. All other things I'm just providing here. Also from the user we are taking the mobile number and the email ID, and my database, as always, I have made this empty. So let's just run this code and see how the things are going to work. So I have started it, and yeah, let's see. So yeah, it looks good. Now here if you see this one, so what it says, that it says this ID is an integer not null. Now see this interesting part. Although in your owner class, which was your entity, there you are calling it as owner pet primary key. So directly your owner ID, your pet ID don't exist here. But when you are making the table, it is directly picking your ID, and it's saying integer because you have made their int, and it is saying not null. So automatically, even you haven't mentioned here @ID, it is saying not null. For the pet ID, it is also saying integer not null. Now you will say that okay, this time for ID it is not saying unique. What do you think? For ID and pet ID, should we make them as unique? Just think and tell me. You can pause a video and then I'll tell you the answer. So I'm assuming that you have written your answers in the comment section. Now, my point is that think, why do we made this composite primary key? Because we were saying that only with the help of ID we won't be able to differentiate our owners. Only with the help of pet ID we won't be able to differentiate our owners. There needs to be a combination. Now since there needs to be a combination, so there may happen that two rows can have same ID but their pet IDs are different. Two rows can have same pet ID but their IDs are different. Yeah, overall the whole combination needs to be unique this time. So that's the reason that we are not using the keyword unique either for the ID or the pet ID. So that's the thing. Then if we go at the end, and this one you still didn't told me whether you like this blue color or not. I generally don't like this here, like on black and blue this doesn't sound good. So at the end it is saying like this, primary key, which is a combination of ID and pet ID, like this. All other things are same. Let's have a look in our database also how it looks like. So if I just refresh, this is my table, and yeah, it looks something like this. So now in front of your ID also it is saying PK, which is primary key. For pet ID also it is saying PK, which is again your primary key. And if you have a look at your table, so here you won't find any difference as such. So here this looks as it is same. Now let's enter some of the values. So for this, let's try to add an owner. So we'll try to add at least 2-3 owners, and the ID, let's go by 1. Then rest of the things it has automatically taken. Now let's provide the mobile number. So something like this we are providing here, this one. Now let's say email, so let's say email 1, and now let's say pet ID, so again it is 1. So as of now let's go by this combination 1 and 1. Rest of the things it has taken again. Now it says owner pet combination saved. Let's go for one more. Why? This time add new owner. Again I can go with the same owner. Now some of you may say that okay, now you should have gone for one to many mapping, many to many mapping. But again, just try to understand. Here I'm just trying to explain you the concept of composite primary key. We will go to the mappings later on. So some of you may say that okay, the table is not completely normalized or this or that, but here we need to understand a concept. This is not a production ready application. We are just learning in step by step. After this demo we are not going to come back here. Only this is for this particular video. So again I will give this one as 1 for the owner ID. Rest of the things seems. Now this time mobile number needs to be unique, so I'll give as this particular one. Now email needs to be unique, so I'll go for this particular one. Let me call it as email here, email 2. And then for the pet ID, so owner ID I took same, pet ID let me go for a different one, so something like this. So again, and you will say that okay, what if we make pet ID also same? So then it will obviously throw the error, because we are already checking where we are doing that particular check. So here if you see, so before saving the owner, first of all we are trying to find by that particular combination. So if combination will exist, we are going to throw the duplicate error. Now let's have a look in our table here. So here if you see, IDs are same, pet IDs are different. So this way this is going to be your thing. Now let's try to fetch this time. And one more thing you can try on your own, that you can have different owners IDs but the same pet ID. So that one you try on your own. So I'll go for the second one. Owner ID, which one do you want? So we want for 1. Which pet ID do you want? We want for 2 this time. So let's do this. So now it has given you that data. Now you will say how to differentiate. So that's why I gave this mobile number 2, email ID 2, pet ID 2. So that particular data is coming to us because it is taken by the composite key. Yeah. And now your ID is not a primary key. So now if you will just say, what if I will try to fetch only with the help of owner ID? Either it will give you an error or it will give you a wrong result. Obviously it should give you a wrong result this time. So that one you can try on your own. Same way you can try the other options of updating and the deletion also. But main concern was what are the two different ways of going with the composite primary key. One is with the help of @ID class, where you need to make usage of @ID on all your columns, and you need to repeat the columns in your owner as well as the other class. Other way is embedded ID, where you don't need to have any kind of repetition. My favorite one is embedded ID. You need to tell me in the comments what is your favorite one. And now with this particular video, we are done with most of the different kinds of primary keys. In the next video, we are going to learn something about the natural key. So that we are going to learn, and I hope that you are downloading the demos, you are practicing them parallelly. But besides this also, the important part is that you need to comment, you need to like and subscribe also to this video. Then only YouTube is going to make it available to more users also, if it will find that people are liking the video. Otherwise our community is going to be remain that much only of small people. But we should try to increase ourselves, and for that you need to support me. And if you find anything missing, anything pending, then you can tell me. We'll try to have it in our next video. So thanks everyone, see you next time.